Welcome back to Compas on the Beat. You guys know this guy. We've had him on before. We talked Cincinnati Bengals with him. He covers them for SI. It is James Rapien, great friend of the show. Like I said, we've had him on. James, thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to Radio Row.
Of course, yeah. Thanks for having me. It's exciting to be here. Wouldn't have thought this, right? Last time we chatted, we were previewing Bengals Chargers. Didn't necessarily think either team would be in Super Bowl 56. Yeah. But Joey Burrow is a different breed, man, so we're here.
Let me ask you, and I have to go back to that. The Chargers go in there, they blow out Cincinnati, and it was a blowout. I mean, Cincinnati kind of came back at the end, but then the Chargers kind of pulled away. What happened after that? What really started clicking? What do you think happened? Did they start getting healthy? Or Joe Burrow just really came into his own? What's your expert analysis?
Well, the first thing was the self-inflicted mistakes. I mean, Burrow has a touchdown to Jamar Chase, throws it right in his breadbasket. Chase, the first ever, and it's probably not the first ever, Fernando, but it might be the first ever wide receiver interception where the guy has it. It's probably six the other way. And then, you know, they did come back, but it was just so many self-inflicted mistakes, the Joe Mixon fumble, right? And I think they were actually more confident after that game, after they watched the film. They were like, look, we were able to rally and come back, but we can't have these turnovers. We can't have these issues. And they were able to fix that, remedy that issue. And Burrow's playing at a high level. And they've won the turnover battle in each of these playoff games. And that goes such a long way when we're talking about January and February football.
So do you think if the Bengals win this weekend, they might send a basket over to the Chargers and say, hey, thanks, you guys woke us up?
Hey, yeah, I think they'll send baskets to anyone who wants one if they are able to pull this off. Because, again, I don't think anyone outside of the organization thought that this was realistic. I certainly didn't think it was realistic entering the season. Even at the end, even after they beat the Chiefs and clinched the AFC North and have swept the Ravens and swept the Steelers, I still had questions. And I think we're here at Radio Row. The Bengals are playing for a world championship as we record this in 5 days. And guess what? We still have questions, but this team continues to find a way to win. And that's really all that matters. And if they can do it one more time, then they can etch their name in history. And you're right, the Chargers will get a gift basket.
You're going to laugh, but I have to break every game down now because of everything that we saw. So Burrow and they play the – well, you know what? We don't have to go over the Raider game. That one was self-explanatory. By the way, that complaint that the Raiders had about him throwing it and the whistle and all, get out of here. It was a win. They beat the Raiders fair and square. There's no way you can complain. I'm sure Raiders media isn't complaining because that was a long season that they had. But let's move over to that Tennessee Titans game.
Yeah.
How in the hell do you get sacked 9 times and then go against Kansas City and only get sacked once? I think it was only once, if I'm not mistaken. What happened? What do you think? What happened in between those two games that really made the Titans' offensive line really be able to settle down and contain that Chiefs pass rush?
Yeah, honestly, I don't think the offensive line was that much better. Which I know sounds crazy, right? 9 sacks, 13 quarterback hits against the Titans. The difference was the Titans were able to confuse Joe Burrow and make him second-guess himself and make him hold the ball longer than he wanted. And when you're doing that, and you're Burrow and you're this really mentally strong and mentally – that's probably his best trait, right, is pre-snap, post-snap, recognizing what the defense is trying to do and exploit it, find the weakness, find the matchup you want. Well, he struggled at times against the Titans to do that, and so he had to hold the ball longer than he wanted. And that was a big part of that 9 sacks. Now, the offensive line was awful. I'm not defending it.
No.
But the difference is he couldn't be magical when they needed him to be. And keeping his composure and able to make the game-winning throw to Chase to set up the field goal, all of that was great. But I think we saw against the Chiefs, when he knows and has a really good idea of what the defense is going to do, he can evade the pass rush. He can get outside. He can make plays downfield. He'll use his legs if he needs to. And I think that was the difference. The Chiefs weren't able to confuse him the way the Titans did, and that's going to be a big part of Sunday's matchup in Super Bowl 56. Can Burrow keep himself upright, keep himself clean, so he can make plays downfield? He certainly did that against the Chiefs when it mattered and did it a couple times against the Titans, but they're going to need him to do it a lot on Sunday.
The way I look at this weekend is the best way kind of to keep Matthew Stafford in that high-powered offense, how to keep them down is by controlling the clock. I feel like we're going to get a lot of Joe Mixon this weekend. I don't know how you feel. You're the man there. You're the one that, but from an outsider looking in, I feel like we're going to get a heavy dose of Joe Mixon and maybe other running backs getting thrown in there. But I really feel like I think they're going to try and control the ball and really try and run the football and establish the run.
They've struggled so much to do that. I think they would love to do that, but they struggle so much run blocking, and it's really been an issue for dating back to post-bye. I think it really, outside of the Pittsburgh game, I want to say, their second win, they just crushed Pittsburgh at Paul Brown Stadium. After that, Joe Mixon's struggled to average 4 yards a carry in any of these games and really get going. At the same time, if you can neutralize that pass rush some, Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, all these guys that can get after Burrow, of course, you want to try to establish the run a bit. So I agree. I think they'll be balanced, especially early. And if he gets going, they'll stick with it. At the same time, I don't think they're going to be afraid to abandon it because it's a 60-minute game, right? And all season long, I think they've wanted to limit the number of hits Burrow's taken. Well, now it's Super Bowl. Now it's the Super Bowl. Now there's a world championship on the line. So if you can get after it and you can do whatever it takes, if it's dropping Burrow back, and I don't think they're going to drop him back 60 times, but if they think that's the recipe for success, they'll do it. But Mixon, I think, should be a big factor, not only as a runner, but in the screen game. No doubt about it, as you try to neutralize that pass rush.
So you've seen that picture where it says no regrets, that famous, yeah. So there's no regrets on drafting Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell or Rashawn Slater, correct?
Hell no. No, I mean, that dude, Jamar Chase is different, man. And they thought it. Joe certainly was on board with it. And you're seeing it. I mean, he's had such a record-setting year, postseason records now, right? The most receiving yards by a rookie in the playoffs, set a Bengals franchise record, 1,455 receiving yards, 13 touchdowns, 81 receptions. He's just been insane. And get your popcorn ready, because if it's Jamar Chase, versus Jalen Ramsey one-on-one, and I don't think it will be. They'll have their matchup, but I don't think that Ramsey's going to follow him. But if he does, that could certainly be a fun one. And what I'm really curious to see is how this Bengals offense with 2 weeks moves around its best playmaker, right? They have 2 weeks to prepare. They get it. The Rams are favored, and they were built to win the Super Bowl, and they're all in on this year. The Rams, they might have their hands full with this Bengals offense if Zach Taylor and Brian Callahan can cook up some new things on offense for this Super Bowl matchup.
Speaking of which, let me get my co-host in here, Gilbert Manzano. He's finally joining us. Some guys have diva moments, and Gilbert's one of them. He wanted to step out, but I'll let Gilbert ask a question, and then I'll jump back and ask my question.
Fernando, how dare you call me a diva? But I will apologize to you, James. I've made you wait. I wanted to be on and talk to you because I wanted to talk to you about the last interview we had, and I felt like we were kind of discounting the Bengals and the Chargers. We were right on the Chargers; they're gone. But what happened with you, James? You're kind of not believing in the Bengals, and here we are. What happened to the Bengals?
Yeah, well, one, and I told Fernando this: the self-inflicted mistakes, all these turnovers. Burrow, at one point, was leading the NFL in interceptions. He's been great at taking care of the ball the past 2 months, and I think that's a huge difference, and really the difference why they're here is he's playing like an elite quarterback. Had the ugly interception in the AFC title game against the Chiefs, but the one he had the week prior wasn't his fault. So he's had one interception that I would charge to him over the past 6 to 7 weeks. So that's a big part of it. And, the other part is this defense. I mean, this defense, they've been so multiple. Holding Derrick Henry to 62 yards rushing. The next week, holding Patrick Mahomes to 3 points in the second half. I mean, it's in overtime. It's just it's wild to think about that they're here. I would have called you crazy if you would have said it when we last talked, but they're here. And I've said this because I think a lot of people assume it's Bengals, it's house money. To me, it's not house money because you never know when you're going to get back here. They may have a better roster next year or the year after and more talent, and they probably should. They're a young team. But, man, it takes a lot of luck to make it to the Super Bowl. And so now that they're here, you have to take advantage of it.
And they also young team, and they have money going into this offseason. But, James, you're in Kansas City. You're watching the game. It's halftime. Paint us a picture. Be Picasso for us right now. That second half, paint us a picture. What did you think going into that when everything started happening in the second half?
Well, first I'll tell you at halftime, I was like, man, what's the halftime meal? We got I'm hungry, and I know it's going to be a long-ass night regardless after this game, no matter what happens. No, I think, the first thing, it's 21-10. They were down 21-3. I thought the fact that the Chiefs didn't take 3 at the end there, and all you had to do was throw it to the end zone, and there's probably a second left, and instead you do the little bubble screen, and Patrick Mahomes owned up to it. I thought that opened the door because the door seemed pretty close to shut. Eli Apple makes that tackle. Now he's feeling himself. This defense it gets together, says, all right, we stopped them once. We can keep doing it. Let's get a stop here to start the second half. And they did. And then the offense doesn't even cash in because that's what I was thinking. I was like, you need a stop and a score after halftime, and you'll be in it. They get the stop, and then they punt. And it's like, all right, well, you just don't have a shot. But this defense, they were able to hold it down and allow the offense to slowly get back into it. They kick the field goal. It's 21-13. And then the defense makes another huge play. B.J. Hill, that interception towards the end of that third quarter. And that was the moment, I think, where the offense was like, okay, this is our shot. If we're going to win this game, if we're going to beat Patrick Mahomes and escape Arrowhead, we've taken all these haymakers, and we're down by 8, and we have the ball in Chiefs territory. They drive down Jamar Chase, the guy I just praised, and they're certainly happy to draft him. Makes a huge catch on third down, the fade. I mean, how many rookies in the AFC title game are catching a fade like that? And I know it was a one-on-one, but still, just out-bodies the cornerback, makes the play. And then they get the 2-point conversion, and this is where Brian Callahan and Zach Taylor deserve a ton of credit. Trent Taylor hadn't caught a pass from Joe Burrow outside of practice occasionally all season long. Rarely does he catch passes from Burrow in practice because it's Brandon Allen, the backup, throwing to Trent Taylor, this practice squad wide receiver that gets promoted to play punt returner. And yet they use Chase to command the double team and distract the one cornerback. Taylor runs a perfect route, and boom. When they tied it, I think that's when that doubt went away, and it was like, man, they really do have a shot here because of the offense, because of the weapons and the way the defense was playing. It was like, well, if they need to match Mahomes, they can, but the defense is playing great, and that was obviously the deciding factor. So it was a wild game, and it was the type of game that you look back on and you're like, man, it was just their year. And I don't know that yet. They still have to find a way, right? But in Arrowhead, right, and you mentioned it before, in Nissan Stadium, 9 sacks, and it was really 11 sacks. 2 didn't count. 1 was a timeout. 1 was nullified by a penalty. But he got sacked 11 times, 13 quarterback hits. They escaped with the win. And then down 21-3 to Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Chiefs, a team that has never lost to a quarterback not named Tom Brady in the postseason. And they rally and win in this loud Arrowhead Stadium. It's crazy environment. The Bengals, this team that hasn't, in my lifetime, won a playoff game until this season. So the fact that they're here, it's wild, and it was a wild scene on the AFC Championship game.
James, as you know, I got here late, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself of a question that Fernando asked you. But there's 2 things I keep talking about here at Super Bowl Radio Row, because you brought up the halftime food for the AFC title game. Where's the food here at Radio Row? I keep asking Fernando, there's no food here. I keep complaining all the time. And 2, the thing I talk about the most is, might be a repeated question, but Joe Burrow swag, coolness factor, his poise. And it's funny because when I see him talk, he doesn't have like that outgoing kind of brash personality, but something about him, his laid back demeanor, kind of cool guy. Mm-hmm. It seems like the Bengals are really kind of gravitated towards that. Have you noticed that? Even the city too of Cincinnati, when it comes to kind of the Joe Cool, Joe Burr, Joe Shiesty, Joey Franchise, when it comes to all those names, something about him, the way he is and carry himself, has really kind of gravitated towards the team and the city, right?
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned food, man. We got the food right here. I don't know. I love these things, man. Who brought these? Smart. Look at these, man. I'm about to eat all of them. But now I got to talk about Joe Burrow, right? It's wild. It's weird. Like, he has this JB9 chain, and he's got the smile, and he's just unapologetically himself, right? So, like, he'll own that he loves SpongeBob and wear a suit one week, and then he'll wear a Space Jam jacket the next week. And you ask him, it would be like, I just thought it was cool. Yeah, like, and I think you can you respect that. Someone who's just like, this is who I am, and when I'm at work, I'm going to bust my ass and work as hard as I possibly can to be great. And that's that. And I think people can follow him and relate to him because we all want to be that way, right? And so whatever background you're from, because the locker room is crazy. You have so many people from so many different areas across the country, and everyone relates to Burrow. It's wild. And you talk to people at LSU before the draft, and it was the same way. And he's someone like Jamar Chase to someone like Trent Taylor to someone like Trey Hendrickson, they're all like, yeah, I either signed here or I wanted to come here to play with Joe Burrow. And I think it's a big reason why they're here is because of his attitude and because of the precedent that he sets and the standard that he sets that goes down the line from the front office to wanting to make sure they do everything they can to put him in position, to the coaching staff, to his teammates. Everyone has a certain standard, and that started with Joe Burrow when they drafted him in April 2020.
So when he was at LSU, they win the national championship. You see him on a couch smoking a cigar. Man, if he wins the Super Bowl, I want to see what he's gonna do. Like he's gonna do something bigger. I think I'm really trying. I really want to see what he would do if they won the Super Bowl.
Are you admitting you're rooting for the Bengals? Is that what that is?
I mean, it's not that I'm rooting for them. I want to see Joe Burrow just be Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
And I feel like when he wins, he's Joe Burrow. So obviously I do want to see a little bit of that.
Yeah, it is interesting to see what he'll do. And, I certainly think a cigar will be involved. What brand, I don't know. But, yeah, I think it's kind of his thing that he's going to do now. He said anytime he wins a title, they won an AFC North title earlier this year. They had a big celebration. I want to see all the dancing, man, because he dances. Obviously, Joe Mixon and Jamar Chase and, those guys like to dance. Quentin Spain likes to dance. So it would the dance party that would ensue at SoFi Stadium would be quite wild. And I agree with you. I think there would be plenty of cigar smoke in the air.
And a lot of gritty, right?
A lot of gritty, yes.
I teach Fernando that it's not the giddy, it's the gritty.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you taught him the dance. Yeah,
I can do it.
Not Mac Jones, man.
Let's see.
I don't want to blow something.
You knew I was going to call you. You knew I was going to take the bait. I can't believe
you saw Adam Schefter like tore his ACL doing it. I ain't risking that. The way my insurance is set up, I don't think I could take that kind of risk.
The way my insurance is set up.
But I got to put you on the spot now, unless you got something else, Gilbert. All right. Who wins this weekend?
Oh, man. Come on now. It's Tuesday.
And what's the score? So?
What are you doing?
That's fine.
It's Tuesday.
It's fine.
It's Tuesday.
Ooh, that's people on Monday, by the way.
Sunday. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean,
right now, we've had
it's tough. Yeah, what's the score?
3-2 Bengals.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
These are the underdog.
Who have you had on?
Jonathan Coachman, Darren Sproles.
They picked Bengals?
And Amber Harris said Bengals.
Jonathan Coachman. I like it.
Coachman.
Watched him growing up on WWE.
Dude, so I met him outside, right? We're walking in, and he's coming out, just got his credential. And I'm like, the coach, and I asked him, like, hey, would you jump on with us? He's like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, all right, cool, let's go. So, like, he jumped on with us and everything, and he was awesome. But yeah, these guys are all saying Bengals because of the underdog factor. So 3-2 right now, Bengals.
Yeah, it's tough. I see the path, obviously, for the Bengals to win. Can they keep Burrow upright long enough? That might be a second and a half. That might not be a lot. But that might be enough. Like this wide receiver group might be able to do what it can do that quickly, and this offense might be able to scheme up enough. But to me, it's going to come down to the defense. We've seen it all throughout
the underrated factor of the Bengals.
The Raiders, 19 points. The Titans, 16 points. The Chiefs, 3 points in the second half and overtime. Can this Bengals defense do it one more time? That's what it's going to come down to. Will Trey Hendrickson make the strip sack? Will Von Bell have an interception? Or Jesse Bates? Or Mike Hilton? And if they do that, and by the way, Matt Stafford is known for doing that, throwing interceptions. He should have against the NFC.
Oh, you forgot to mention my boy Sam Hubbard. Man, that guy's underrated.
Sam Hubbard?
Hubbard, my bad, yeah.
Hubbard, your boy.
Yeah,
no,
he's your boy, Fernando.
He's from Cincinnati too.
No, I know, but I think he's very underrated.
Maybe it's a strip sack for Sam Hubbard. He had 2 sacks against the Chiefs, so you never know. But that's the thing is this defense has so many options that way, and they're gonna have to get a game-changing player too. And so if you told me that happened, I would pick the Bengals. I think the 4.5. I'll do the betting line. I think the 4.5 is way too high. I just do. Joe Burrow, 4.5. I would certainly take the Bengals against the spread.
Evan's gonna come in, McPherson.
Oh man,
and he's Bang.
You think so? That's your prediction?
That dude has so much swag. Like,
Dude, I know.
It's funny because we covered Michael Badgley. He called himself the Money Badger, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But he didn't have the swag that this kid. Like, this kid has a different kind of swag.
Yeah.
That like I like watching him. Like I listened to his presser yesterday, and he was a lot of fun to listen to. And he's just a cool kid. And I remember his kick at Florida where he kicks it up into the uprights and like he hits the top of a Gatorade bottle. And
Yep. That's real. So he tried it. He said it took him about 35 times. He was like, I knew I could do it. It was like, because I aim all the time. He was like really calm about, I knew I could do it. I knew it would take a little bit. It was very real. Believe that? Dude's different.
Hey, 35 is actually not that bad. I would have thought more tries, but I'm just saying that kid has sweat. That kid, if he gets the opportunity to hit that game winner, I feel like he has ice in his veins. And he would just be like, yeah, I nailed it. And what?
In Tennessee,
now as a rookie.
In Tennessee, you heard this story, right? Burrow told it to me after the Tennessee game. He swung his leg and he was like, as he was walking, doing his little warm-up kicks, looks like we're going to the AFC Championship. Free throw line.
You're a rookie kicker. What are you doing?
How many teams are going to draft the kicker in the 2022 draft? Because of Evan McPherson.
I know. It changes. And it's such a weapon. It really has changed. It's why they're here.
Well, and that's what I was telling him. Like, and we've been talking about, since we both cover the Chargers and everything, Chargers need a game-changing punter. Like, you need a punter to be that kid from San Diego State, Matt Ariza. You talked about all these different, but like
first-round pick?
Fifth. I'm gonna say that kid's a fifth-round.
Fifth? Wow.
That kid's a leg. He hit 480 yarders this year from he punted 80 yards.
Really?
So he was a weapon for San Diego State. That's why they were decent this year.
That's where we're at in Chargers talk, huh? Is punters in the draft.
No, you're right.
You're right.
No. The thing that
he said they're going to give if the Bengals win, they're going to send the Chargers a gift basket because they got their season jump started.
There you go.
I think. The one thing from a media perspective that I've been so excited about, I haven't had to do draft stuff yet. Normally, I'm 2 months into draft stuff and a lot of free agency stuff, and it's going to be a sprint. There's not really going to be a break, but I'm not used to this feeling, so I'm enjoying it.
Dude, and then literally as soon as we're done here, because the season got moved, everything hits you in the mouth right after. Like, it's the combine, it's the draft, it's this, and then it's like, dude, guys are in shorts. Like, how am I supposed to see that guy's going to be the next big? They're in shorts.
Hey, I could have told you Evan McPherson was going to be good when he was in shorts.
Could you have told me that Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell was going to take him to the Super Bowl?
Not Super Bowl, no. But I definitely thought Jamar Chase was the right pick when they made it, before they made it. And then I thought he would have a bigger impact right away.
By the way, very underrated player, in my opinion, T. Higgins.
Been great. He's been great.
He's been I think he's in both games. He's had over 100 yards, or maybe all three.
He had 96 against the Titans, and then over 100 against the Chiefs. Yeah, he's
been the guy that really. He's moved the chain.
And that's why you take Chase, right? Is because teams want to double him, and if they don't, then they're going to pay, and if they do, then you have Higgins and Boyd. And this could be a big Boyd game. Would not shock me at all if Boyd had a big game. Hasn't had a huge game yet this postseason. He's a freak in the slot.
So I think I'm hearing Rams out of your voice.
Really? I just said I would take the Bengals against the spread.
Oh, against the spread though?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Tuesday.
Yeah,
all right.
You know me on Thursday.
We'll track you down, James.
That's right.
You know what? I'm going to let you escape with that because you do cover the team. So I'm going to let you escape. I
can't spoil my prediction on a Tuesday.
I know that's true. No.
I'll let you podcast a plug.
No, I know, but we have and plug your podcast. Go ahead and please.
Locked on Bengals. Yeah, Locked on Bengals at James Rapien. Yeah, we're gonna have a ton working on interviews and stuff. So it's an exciting time to be here.
I gotta ask regardless. That's why I asked him. If he gives me the runaround,
it's the second time I've been asked today, and both times I dodged it. And I don't like dodging. It's just too early.
No, you're fine. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. So I'm glad you dodged that. I hope you get that reference.
But yeah, dodgeball. But can Joe Burrow dodge Aaron Donald?
Hey, he was dodging Chris Jones.
That's the question,
man. That one where he just tucks over it, moves and shifts. That one, I was like, wow. Yeah. I'm like, this guy's
stretches it, gets the first down. Woo.
So yeah, no, James, thank you. I'm glad you don't charge by the minute, because if not, man, you would have you would take us.
It's a Tuesday. You're lucky it's a Tuesday, not weekend rates.
So. No, and we appreciate you jumping on with us. This was definitely awesome. Talking all things Bengals with James SI Bengals. read all of his stuff. He has a lot of good stuff from the past, from now, cooking. You can see everything leading into the Super Bowl Sunday. James has got it all. James will be there on Sunday as well. So I'm sure him and Joe Burrow, if the Bengals win, they'll be smoking some cigars together. That'll be a good scene.
Oh man. Well, Joe, give me a cigar. All right. I'm gonna say Fernando told me you were giving me a cigar, Joe.
Obviously he went from like the 7-Eleven cigars when he won the national championship, and now he's gonna get the good stuff. He must he can afford the good stuff. Now we're gonna get the good stuff.
I would not be shocked.
Yeah. So James is gonna enjoy a great cigar this Sunday if the Bengals win. So thank you, James, for jumping on with us.
Of course. Thanks for having me.